Okay, I was trying to do it through my desktop and it didn't work, so now we're good.
Okay, how are you?
Good.
I love your hair.
Thank you. It's my natural. Yeah.
It looks great. Thanks so much. How are you doing?
Well, I just got off a call with my daughter's kindergarten class. So we're in the final stretch of homeschooling and working from home. So I feel like I've the last 3 months also got a degree in multitasking.
Oh my goodness. Well, are you going to pass kindergarten as a kindergarten teacher?
No, it was a complete flop. But I tried.
Yeah, that's all that matters. When do your girls finish school?
Friday. New York City public schools end on Friday.
Friday? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's everyone is going to get a medal at the end of this school year, it feels like, for all the working parents that have been dubbing as teachers as well.
The parents, the teachers have done an amazing job. I mean, when you think about, it's an incredible feat. You know, I mean, the #1 school district in the country, over millions of students, and had never done online schooling before. And it was literally from one day to the next. They had a few days to prep and get everything online. It was pretty amazing.
Wow. Well, that's great to hear. And I'm glad that you've made it through, Karima.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to talk to you and about your experience. And, I just think we're looking forward to it. So thank you for your time today. Thank you, everyone, who's tuning in. So, Karima, why don't we kick it off? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first, Elisa, thank you so much for doing this. You've always been a leader in our community. As a woman and Latina, I always look up to you. Everywhere that you've been, you've always, made a path forward for others as well. And this is just you. This is what you do. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
A little bit about myself. So, I have been a media executive, focused, in the multicultural Hispanic space now for about 18 years. I've been at Univision for 14 years with different leadership roles on the local media side, and now I'm doing national business development. Are you hearing feedback at all?
No, are you?
No, okay. A little bit, but I'm not sure. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay on your side.
Okay, I'll move my iPad just in case. Okay.
Okay. I am originally from Massachusetts, the daughter of 2 immigrants that came from different points of the world. My mother is from Colombia, and my father was born in India. He's Indian. He was raised in Pakistan and Arab, so my name is Arabic. And growing up in Boston, which is not a very diverse city and market, I really experienced what it is to be bicultural, bilingual, and kind of make your mark. And that's really made me who I am today. I think there is someone saying they're hearing a little feedback as well.
Hearing a little bit of feedback. Okay, okay. Is that better, Connie? Okay.
I think it's...
That feels... I'm not hearing anything on my end. Are you hearing anything on your end?
I think it sounds clearer now.
Okay.
Yes, sounds better. Okay. So over the years, I've obviously grown very passionate about multicultural marketing, and we still have a long way to go. And that's really what has, formed my career in terms of always having that passion and that drive to educate the marketplace about the multicultural space, specifically Hispanic. There's also an advocacy side that goes with it too, right? Multicultural broadcasters and content creators are always looking for ways to be able to speak to their communities, right? And being in ad sales, there's a lot of pride involved in working with companies that are doing that to empower our communities as well. So from a career standpoint, that's and professional standpoint, that's a little bit about myself. I've worked, like I said, at Univision and a couple of other Spanish language broadcasters. On a personal side, I am a mother of 2 young girls. I live in Washington Heights with my husband, Alfonso, who is Dominican, and my girls are Camila and Carla, so they're 9 and 6. New York City public school students. I'm very passionate about the community and getting involved in different community efforts. Obviously, women empowerment is something that's been ingrained in me with a very strong mother, as well as having the honor of attending Wellesley College, which really, really framed as a woman the power of sisterhood, the power of bringing all of us forward together. And that has been a great gift for me in my life as well. So that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, congratulations, with your success today. And you're a trailblazer when it comes to the media industry. I've known you for so many years, and it's been amazing to see your growth. So will you tell us how you started off in ad sales?
Sure. It was a complete, I guess you could say, mistake. I graduated Wellesley in 2000. I was actually on the finance route, but had an opportunity to work at an internet startup company when I graduated in 2000, and thought that was a great experience. And it was right around the time when the bubble started to burst. If you remember, back in the late 90s and 2000s, I think there were companies going public left and right. I learned a lot back then about, the backbone of internet marketing. It was a fabulous experience, but then I realized that I felt a little bit stuck being behind a computer. I missed the social interaction with people. And at the time I was about 22 years old, and I was also doing promotion in the music business. And someone had mentioned to me that there was a sales opportunity in Boston with Univision television affiliate. So I took a big risk and pivoted to sales. I didn't know what I was getting into. Back then I had not such a great perspective of what sales was. And as soon as I started there, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with meeting people from all sorts of industries, really becoming, when you're in local broadcast, you have this gift of almost being a consultant to small businesses, and helping them grow their business. And it's so empowering to see how small businesses grow and give back to the community. So, I started working, obviously Boston back then was about 6% Hispanic. And then I grew into handling some national accounts, and then eventually moved to New York City and worked here in media. And that's how I got into sales. So
yeah,
it was kind of by chance, having a part-time job and having a lot of passion for the music business. And someone spotted me and said, "Hey, I think you might be good in this space."
That's awesome. That's great. And how, when it comes specifically to multicultural marketing, compared to when you started and where we are today, what would you say are the biggest differences? And the second part of that question is, do you think that multicultural marketing exists in terms of, when you think of segmentation and when you think about putting, groups in buckets, do you think that Latinos should be thought of more, as in the general market? I would love to have hear your insights on that.
Sure, absolutely. So how things have changed over, 2 decades, there's obviously definitely been what I call different pendulum swings. There was obviously, probably in the mid 90s, there had been a lot of built up and passion into multicultural marketing. Back then you would see, a lot of multicultural, and even within that genre, for African American and Hispanic, a lot of boutique agencies really that had amazing creative executives that were really tapping into the multicultural boom, and they were doing a great job. And then something happened in the economy, and the pendulum kind of swung, and this total market concept came to fruition, right? And it was very sad to see in like the mid 2000s how all of these small boutique Hispanic agencies that had really done a great job in educating major advertisers about how to effectively market to Hispanics and African Americans, they just got gobbled up by some of the larger agencies and holding companies, or they just disappeared. And it was very difficult to see and frustrating to see a lot of the work that trailblazers in the marketplace had done to really, put multicultural marketing forward. And then for efficiency standpoints, and also I think digital really just affected the industry in general. Everything became about efficiencies and total market. But I really feel that over the last few years, the pendulum has kind of swung back. And the world that we're living in right now, I think is going to be a turning point in a good way if we do the right thing to really put more attention to multicultural. And I think that everything that we do today and the conversations that we have today have the opportunity to really make a solid change in the way that multicultural marketing is viewed going forward. When you ask me about the general market and the Hispanic is part of it, or is it off to the side as a niche? That's to me, it's a complicated question, but at the same time, it's very simple. If an advertiser does not have multicultural marketing and Hispanic marketing as part of their core values, they're not going to win. And it's a pretty easy data set, look, right? I mean, when you look at the marketplace, there's 61 million Hispanics in the United States. We're the 8th largest GDP with over $2 trillion in GDP. That's U.S. Hispanic. I mean, when you think about that, that's amazing, Elisa. That's a GDP that's larger than Italy and Brazil and Canada. So imagine Canada with no advertising, right? Yeah. I mean, it's our job to educate the marketers about the economic power that the Hispanic market has. And then when you look at the consumer, it's such a valuable consumer to any brand. We're younger. Our median age is 29 compared to mid 40s for non-Hispanic. Close to 50% of our households have children. Just think about that from, CPG standpoint to a bank, and think about all the life cycles that young Hispanic families have potentially to grow. So I think that the Hispanic market is part of the general market, but that does not, and I say that in the sense that it's so large and the opportunity is so big that you're not going to win if you don't market to that specific consumer in a way that's going to be engaging and effective.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, thank you for that. I think that that's really good insight. And I think the reason that I asked that question is because there are so many brands who approach, when they think of multicultural marketing, they're like, I'm going to reach Latinos if I'm advertising on NBC because there's a segment of the population that's watching NBC. But I think that you hit it, you hit it right on when it's about being engaged and being relevant to the consumer. So thank you for that, and thank you for your insights, because I think that's really key.
And I think one thing that I do also want to mention when we're talking to the marketing executives and the advertisers in the world is that Hispanics are a little bit different, and what makes us different is our language, right? It's the one unifying thing that kind of brings us together is the language of Spanish. And there's a retro acculturation happening. Even second and third generation Hispanics are teaching their children Spanish. They're very proud of their culture, whether it's music or sports or food and family. So 82% of Hispanic households speak Spanish. Yeah. And there's kind of this mindset that, oh no, if you're second or third generation, you're not learning Spanish. You become completely acculturated. And that's really not true.
Yeah. That's actually a really, really good point. That's a good point. So, thank you for pointing that out. Really good insights. And Connie says Latino spending and value in the economy is often minimized or discounted, and agree. And I think that that's where, Karima's expertise and her insights is key, that it's all part of the education process in terms of, we shouldn't be minimized. We should be spoken to in the way that's relevant to us and our culture. So, as you know, one of the reasons that I started this lunchtime conversation is a platform where people can tell their stories, which I think are really important. But second is to have our guests share their 3 career insights so that our audience can, it doesn't matter whether they're just starting out, whether they're in transition, they're C-level. What are the 3 key career insights that you can share with our audience today from your experience?
One of my core values is to do exactly what you're doing right now, which is paying it forward. That's something that's very important to me, both in the community, but also professionally. I think that as we grow in our careers, we have such an enormous power to affect change, be a bridge and a connector. I think that when we have the power to hire team members, that is a great responsibility. And when we're faced with this was a little glitch there. When we have the opportunities to hire team members, I just feel that that's such a powerful opportunity to either bring an underdog on the team, to create a diverse team. And when I mean diverse, it's not only, women, men, Hispanic, African American, Asian, LGBT. It's also different ways of thinking, different experiences. And I think that there's an enormous chance and opportunity that we have to pay it forward when we're looking at building our teams as well.
Yep.
And sometimes it means going against the grain of executives that are higher than us. Sometimes we're faced with recommendations to hire someone on the team because so-and-so knows them and, they're buddies from back then. At certain times in my career, I've had to really, defend my choice as a hiring manager. And I have to tell you, the times that I've gone with my gut and gone with that person that is different have been some of the best people that have come on the team and really just built an enormous career and have been superstars in the company. And that's something that gives me great pleasure and that's something that's important to me. I also think it's very simple. Just be you. I think from whether you're in the bodega or in a boardroom, integrity is everything. Be unapologetic. Speak your mind. It's something that I've always done. I don't feel intimidated if there are decisions being made and it's something I think is not right. I always speak up. Obviously, you have to be organized and have, your proof in the pudding, right, in terms of why you're doing that. But I think that for me, integrity is everything. And just being you is key to success. And one of the things that I constantly am trying to polish is how to be vulnerable and be comfortable with it. And you really win when you're comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think in life, whether it's career or personal, there's one thing that's constant and it's change. And sometimes it's scary. Yeah. And you can't control it, right? And so being able to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, that means you're winning, right? Yeah. I think that for me, vulnerability is a journey. I'm in my early 40s and I'm learning every day as a mother, as a professional woman, Latina. And you just have to sometimes step back, take a deep breath. You got this. And I read a lot of Brené Brown. I love her books. I don't know if you know her, but she's awesome and she has some great TED Talks. And I always go back to one of her quotes, and she says that your vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. And that's something that, again, for me, I'm trying to work on constantly, daily. when you're kind of a control freak and strong and you're, very, what you want, it's very hard to be vulnerable. It really is.
Yeah. And one of the things that I can share is when it comes to vulnerability, I think it's a sign of strength. I really, really do. And I think that, we all have to, as you're going through your process, we all have to go through the process of being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And it's part of our journey, right? So if it makes us better, that's all that matters,
Absolutely.
So you have been amazing, as always. I mean,
like you, my friends.
Yeah, I love your story. I just knew that, more to come from Karima, because you're going to keep, being a trailblazer in the media space. So congratulations to you.
Thank you,
and on a professional,
and thanks to everyone that joined us.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Karima, for your time. And we will see everyone here on Thursday at noon for our next lunchtime conversation. All right, Karima, see you later.
Bye. Bye. Bye.